So, speaking of reparations, the U.S. government has indeed paid reparations to the indigenous natives of this landmass, the land that, and the people who they stole the land from. It's Japanese citizens who were unjustly accused of being allies to the Japanese government during World War II, which they were not. These were loyal, hardworking, sincere, honest Americans, but because they shared the same race as the Japanese, they were unjustly, falsely accused of aiding in some bizarre way the Japanese in Japan. So these wonderful people were locked up in internment camps. Here in Oakland, we have Fred Korematsu, who spearheaded it. He was from Oakland, went to Castlemont, my old high school, and that all their winning reparations was due to this man, this brave man. It was due to him. And the whole thing, how that even went down. And I had friends, customers actually, who were children during that time, and they knew Japanese. And one of my friends, I forgot her name, dear lady, but she remembered when the U.S. Army came and got these Japanese, and some of the Japanese had even left some of their, prized possessions in the safety of blacks till they got out. But these people were unjustly. But nevertheless, they were paid reparations too, and they should have got more than 20,000 a head. It should have at least been like maybe 2 million a head for that horrible, demonic, racist treatment. But nevertheless, these are the two noted groups. But not to stop there, but the U.S. government also extended its, quote, generosity, end quote, to a people whose crimes that were not even committed on American soil or by Americans that we know of. And this is the Jewish people, the ones who immigrated here after World War II from Europe, who survived Hitler's and Stalin's well-recorded genocide. These people have received billions of dollars and billions to this day from the United States government. And for the record, there were African American brothers, black brothers, who had been used to being discriminated against, who were over there freeing up the Holocaust camps, the slave labor camps. This is on record. And some Japanese Americans who also fought for the Americans during World War II that had also freed some of these Nazi camps. Can you imagine that? These stories are well recorded. So while we're helping another people, and I have no problem with that, it's just how we were treated like dogs when we got back. So here you have blacks and some Japanese helping, freeing, and fighting for the Americans in Europe just to come back to racial discrimination. This is unprecedented in human history. That's why they call it the peculiar American slavery, a peculiar Jim Crow. That word peculiar, it's weird, it's bizarre, it's freakish. But the Jewish people have received millions up to this very day. Obama just gave them $12 more million. So the question is, even with a black president who already said that blacks aren't getting reparations, well, what's the criteria of getting reparations? I guess being black sure in hells ain't one of them, because we haven't gotten a dime. We haven't gotten a dime. And it's sad. It's real sad that we've received nothing, even with a black president. I'm thinking now his wife, she's a descendant of slaves. They were quick to jump on that. Well, white people were so fast to jump on that when Obama got sworn in. Oh, she's a descendant of slaves. Yeah, that's a fact. But I wonder what she could be asking Obama. Obama, why don't you help, get slavery? You're the president, baby. You're the top man. of this nation, actually of the world in one respect. Can you do anything? Anything for my people? What did she talk to him about at night? I don't know. None of my damn business neither. I was just wondering. But blacks haven't received nothing while watching others receive just due. So I don't know what it's going to take. Like I said, it was said long ago that blacks should repatriate, back to Africa because they would never receive justice. And those words ring louder than ever and remain true. They remain real. We have not received justice, and we won't receive justice. I know that's a hard pill for many to swallow, but you know what? Study your history. So that's why I'm asking for way less right now. I'm asking you all just a few 100,000 for 25 people, 25 individuals, because we're not going to get reparations. America is not going to make it right. America doesn't want it right. And when you see, like I say, these candidates and what they're spewing out, it's ridiculous. In his 2007 documentary, Banished, filmmaker Marco Williams examined 4 examples of primarily white communities violently rising up to force their black neighbors to flee town. This became one of the techniques used to sabotage black land ownership, a devastating trend in the 19th and 20th centuries that robbed blacks of millions in generational wealth. You know, there were a lot of massacres, Slocum massacres, and other massacres that many aren't aware of. And I think they had this one concentration camp where 20,000 blacks were killed right after slavery. You know, but every time we formed communities, worked hard as hell to get them up and thriving, whites would always come and tear them down and murder their inhabitants. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was the Slocum massacre where about 850 black people were slaughtered because they complained of the harsh and unjust conditions during Jim Crow. They wanted higher wages. They wanted more money because Jim Crow was a system created right after slavery, since blacks couldn't read or write and didn't have no work. Many of these blacks had to go back to the plantations to work. But the way it was set up, because blacks were illiterate and couldn't read, no matter how hard they worked, they always, in some bizarre way, ended up in debt. And the way they could eat, the only way they could eat was that they had to get the food on credit from these same plantation owners. So they rigged it where blacks were always in debt at the end of the year. And many of them, I heard, worked on in this type of way almost up until the 50s and 60s. Sharecropping, they called it. And blacks were just taken advantage of. And it's a damn shame that this type of treatment happened to us. We know about Tulsa, Oklahoma, and the Black Wall Street, and all the inhabitants there weren't black. You had a few whites who partook in the success of blacks. These were the friends of blacks. They destroyed the whole town and murdered up to 3,000 people, and it was the first time in recorded history that aerial bombardment was used. The first time. Allensworth here in California. Colonel Allen, that was a Civil War colonel, came out here, tried to start a nice new town for blacks. They poisoned the water, and he mysteriously died in a motorcycle accident. No matter what we do, so many towns. We know that Wall Street in New York, that's built over a slave cemetery. Central Park, that was once a thriving town with blacks before they took it. They always sabotage us. And I'm going to tell you this, with the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, he left a $100 million empire. 6 months after his death, it was all gone. I remember as a child, the Shabazz trucks, the Whiting sandwiches, brothers would drop this stuff, the milk, all this stuff. We had it. Famous bean pie. Muhammad Speaks newspaper. It was $100 million empire destroyed within 9 months, 6 months, 6 to 9, gone. What happened to it? Look at Garvey. He had a multi-million-dollar empire. Always destroyed. No matter what we do, they always destroy it. So they will not allow us. And Black Wall Street, their thing was so tight where, hey, they were on the verge of doing import-export with Europe outside of the United States government. Now, you know the government was going to allow that to happen. That would make them look bad. Blacks doing business independently. And Elijah Muhammad slipped through a crack because he was getting that fresh white and H&G fish. Had contracts with Peru. And I also heard this, that Elijah Muhammad was on his way of wholesaling Toyotas, again bypassing the United States government because he converted some Japanese businessmen. That's what I heard. So, you know, no matter what we do, they destroy it. There was a couple last year. They owned a 100-acre, I think, hog farm, and the government took that from them. All elderly couple. They're in their 60s. Government just took it. Came, no reason, didn't tell them why. They just confiscated. So no matter what we do, we try to become independent. We try to be fair. Blacks pay their taxes. Why? They don't. It just won't happen. So now we have to look at this from a scriptural point of view now. We have to. We have to look at Lot. Why did he leave Sodom and Gomorrah? We have to look at Abraham. He was fleeing the oppression of his people, and his father led that. He had to get away from his own father. And Moses. Why did Moses flee Pharaoh? Moses didn't say, I want to be a politician in your land. He was commanded by Jehovah to what? To leave. And he did. And we know the rest of that story. And the Prophet Muhammad, he also left his oppressors. They physically separated. So this is the course that we're taking. And guess what? Again, I'm not the only one. White people are doing it. They had a record amount of people who tore up their passports, white Americans. They left the United States because they themselves see what's coming. They've said it. I think it was investor Jim Rogers. He said, if you love your children, you better leave America. America's time is over. White people are saying this, not just me. I'm just a simple brother here in the ghetto. Been to Africa 3 times. Fell in love with it. And I haven't been right ever since. I lived in Morocco and Sudan. I miss seeing camels, the easy life, the simple life, the quiet life. I miss it. I had even met some German tourists, and I had to say something. White people in Africa, I got to find out why. So I walked up to them, and the Sudanese were treating these people. I mean, it's like, damn. The Sudanese reputation is true, you guys. They are the most hospitable country in the world. The Sudanese treat and have the love for people the same way a mother does her newborn child. That's the height of love between people. How your mother loves you, that's how the Sudanese treated me. I ain't been right ever since. That's how it is. Morocco, love, respect, happiness. I was there. Man, they love you too much. I can use that right about now. Because all I see on TV is just negative stereotypes of blacks. That's all we see now. This housewives of Atlanta mentality dominates black communities. It's sad what black people have become due to their oppression. It's a shame. It's a shame. But